More like Jason on a boat, am I right? Alright, it is day 8 in the 13 for the 13th, and today we're looking at Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, released in 1989. This movie, if you couldn't guess by the title, follows Jason as he goes to Manhattan. This movie had the largest budget of any of the Friday the 13th movies, and had a lot of publicity due to its fairly out there idea. So as usual, this movie starts on Crystal Lake, where a couple is on a boat. Better get used to boats in this movie. The boat's anchor ends up messing with some cables in the lake that ends up shocking Jason's corpse, which revives him. He goes on board, kills the teens. The next day, Jason sneaks on board of a ship that is setting sail for New York, despite Crystal Lake being in New Jersey. On the ship is a graduating class, and obviously Jason begins killing people on this boat. And that's basically most of the movie. He just kind of murders people on the ship till eventually the ship goes down, but a few of the people get away in a lifeboat, some of the teens, a teacher, and then they make it to Manhattan for about 15 minutes. They walk the streets, go on the subway, and then go into the sewer tunnels, where Jason is eventually defeated by toxic waste for some reason. And that's the movie. Alright, so characters in this movie. Obviously there's Jason Voorhees. He's good in this movie, played again by Kane Hodder for the second time. I like him in this. His appearance in this movie isn't really that great in my opinion. His kind of constantly waterlogged look is kind of neat, but I kind of question why he's constantly wet. And then I hate the unmasked face. It's usually referred to as looking like a Muppet, and it does. It's not great. And man, one of the characters in this movie, who we'll get to next, keeps having these visions of little swamp boy Jason, and they just completely messed up his look. Like, he has like a full head of hair. He's not really all that messed up. It's so dumb. But hey, you know, for the most part, I can't really complain too much about Jason. He's still pretty cool in this movie on the whole. It's just his appearance isn't really the best for me personally. The main character of this movie is a chick named Rennie, and she has aquaphobia, and her uncle is actually the biology teacher in the movie, and she has aquaphobia from him just pushing her into the lake when she was a kid and apparently being attacked by Swamp Boy Jason. Once again, it's really weird in these scenes where she sees kid Jason is just so weird and honestly out of place and just looks bad for the most part. And then yes, you have her uncle Charles, and kind of like Dr. Cruz in the last movie, he's one of those where by the time he goes out, you're very glad to see him go. Otherwise, all of the other characters I feel like are just kind of there. The only other notable character that I can think of is Julius, a boxer who has one of the most infamous deaths in the series. But yeah, otherwise the characters are just kind of there. There's not too much to say. I don't find anyone particularly memorable or stand out besides Uncle Charles and obviously Jason. So not the biggest fan of the characters in this movie. On to the kills. Also not really a fan of these either, to be completely honest. The standout one of what I will go ahead and say is the best of the movie is Julius, when he just punches Jason for, I want to say it's like a minute straight, possibly more, maybe less, I can't remember. And he's finally just like, you know, take your best shot, and Jason just punches his head off with one hit. And while definitely a bit goofy, that's a good one. The other notable death I would say is Uncle Charles, where Jason drowns him in a vat of toxic waste, which apparently just lines the streets of New York for some reason. Another one of those where it's pretty dumb when you kind of think about it. Also, the death of the chick that he chases into the dance room, while simple, her death is pretty weird in that she keeps seeing Jason everywhere and then just, you know, strangles her, and just the way she drops, like the acting for her was pretty good in that scene. But yes, otherwise pretty standard slasher affair. There's one part where I believe it's the ship captain has his throat slit, and just it looks so bad. Not a fan of it. Alright, so this one, more so than usual in this series, just has a lot of dumb things in it, at least in my opinion. Like the toxic waste in New York. Why are there barrels of toxic waste just on the streets? And then why does toxic waste flood the sewers at like a certain time? It's so dumb. Why is Jason on the boat for most of the movie? Well, we know why. That's because of budget and stuff like that. Why is it called Jason Takes Manhattan when most of the movies set on a boat? Why are high schoolers taking a trip on a boat to New York when they live in New Jersey? Then there's some technical stuff. A lot of the effects and stuff like that I don't think look super great in this movie, and it keeps using this slow-mo that's just not good. Like there's this car crash scene that is absolutely hilarious. Pretty funny, and I had a good time laughing at that. It's one of the few good times I had in this movie, if I'm being completely honest. So yes, this movie came out in in 1989 and had the highest budget of any Friday the 13th movie up to that point, and it didn't do so well, and the reception to it was almost overwhelmingly negative. So yeah, this one didn't really turn out so great for a lot of people, and actually led to Paramount selling the rights to the series to New Line. So it will be a few years before Jason Voorhees would return to theaters. Me personally, there are things I like about this movie. Again, those few deaths that stood out are pretty good. Like I said, Jason's not bad. Kane Hodder's always great. And I love that scene where he kicks that gang's like stereo and they threaten him and he just lifts up his mask and they're just like, oh my god, and run away. That's a pretty good scene. That's pretty funny. Also like that scene where he sees a billboard with a hockey mask on it and stands underneath it. That's a good one. I tried to enjoy this movie in that so bad it's good kind of way, but like for the most part, that type of thing doesn't usually work for me. Usually if a movie's bad, it's just bad, and this is one of those for me. This is easily one of my least favorite in the franchise, and I don't really think is worth watching aside from a few scenes here and there. But you know, I've heard plenty of people love this one for that so bad it's good kind of thing, so maybe I'm alone in that. I don't know. What do you think about Jason Takes Manhattan? Do you like it? You know, let me know down in the comments. So that's it for day 8 of 13 for the 13th, and tomorrow we'll be looking at Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. What a film. If you think I'm down on this movie, then whew. But yes, as always, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the rest of the 13 for the 13th. Have a good one, everyone.